Good day today. In this video, I want to show us how to implement a dark mode and a light mode of a screen using the new update on the Figma. If you're following Figma, Figma has been updated, the tool has been updated. So if you open a file without selecting any object, or you click on the design environment and look at the panel by the right, you see a local variable. So this local variable is the new update, or the one of the new updates you have on Figma. So these allow you to create variables like you have in programming language. So you can create variable and initialize them and later use them in your file, in design file. So today this is what we are designing. We want to have this screen in another mode. So this is that screen. We want to have a light screen of it, and we want a situation whereby when we tap on a particular button, this screen changes from light mode or dark mode to the other. Before the local variable was added to the Figma, so if you have to create this kind of light and dark mode, maybe you need to copy a screen like this and change whatever black color in there to some other color. For example, so the white is going to change to black, and the black we're having is going to change to white, and probably any other thing that needs to change, so their color must be changed. For example, we can have something like this. So from here we can now have a link from this button to this other screen, and also from this button to the other screen here, to be able to switch between the two modes. But using the local variable, we don't need to create two screens. I'll delete this. So we don't need to create two screens. All we need to do is to add local variable and initialize them with whatever we want. So if you don't have a programming knowledge, this might look somehow hard to you, but it's not hard. It's very simple. It's a very simple aspect of programming. And also, this local variable is only available to paid subscription or the paid plan of Figma, and also it's available for educational purpose. So if you are using Figma for educational purpose, so you have this local variable in your Figma. So without much ado, we'll go into the design. So before I do anything, I will make sure nothing is selected on the screen. For example, if this screen or any object in the screen is selected, I will make sure I deselect everything by clicking on the design environment or tapping on escape key on the keyboard, just like this. Nothing is selected, and we can see the local variable is here. So if I want to add local variable now, it has to be a logical local variable, so that whenever a condition is not met, so something happens, and if the condition is met, another thing happens. So what I will do now is to go into local variable. So from here we can create local variable. So we can rename our local variable from here. Just click on this and rename local variable. For example, let's say theme. So since we're doing dark and light mode, let's say for example theme. So every variable we create will be under this theme collection. Now I'll click on create variable first. So if we are creating variables, we have 4 different kind of variables we can create here. We can create variable for colors, we can create variable for numbers, string, which is text, and also booleans, which is either true or false. So if you are familiar with programming language like CSS or JavaScript precisely, you know what I'm talking about. So the thing we are going to work with here is, first of all, we'll need some text to change. So we'll need a text variable. Also, we'll need a condition if a condition is met. So we are needing a boolean variable also. And again, we'll need a color variable since we are changing colors. So we don't have anything to do with numbers. We are not going to use number in this exercise. So what I'll do now is to first of all create for colors. So we'll be using 2 colors, or let me say 3 colors in this design. So as you are seeing here, we have a black, we have a kind of let me just say pink, and we have white colors. So we're going to create three colors here, three variables for colors, and also we'll create text and also boolean. So I'm going to create color for the first one, and I will rename this one to black. And the black, I can come here and select this color black, just like this. So the color is created. But I can rename this to, instead of being just normal black, I can say black color. So this will be a black color. So you can give your color or your variable any name, and you can give it any value that you want it to take effect to. So we've created a variable here. I'm going to click on this plus to create another variable, which is going to be color also, and I'll say white color. So that is that. I've created white and black. So remains this third color. I'm going to create another variable and call this one pri, which is primary color, and the value, which is going to be a color, I'm going to select it from here, which is this color. Now, so we've created these three colors that will be represented in our design. These are the three colors, we've created them. Another thing we want to create variable for is this dark mode. We want this dark mode to change text. So whenever we click on it and it changes to light mode, so we should have the text change to light mode, and the color should also change. So I'm going to create a text variable. I'll say string, and I'll call this one, let's say theme mode. I'll call this one dark mode on. I'll call it dark mode on. So I'll create another one. It's going to be string also. I'll call this also theme mode. So we can call this one 2, and we'll call this one 1. So because the name should be distinct. So what will be on this one is going to be, we have dark mode on, so this will be dark mode off, and we'll have a default value. So we're going to create another string variable and call it theme mode D, theme mode default. So this default is going to take this dark mode on value, which is this. So we've created 3 variables for text and 3 variables for color. So we're going to create another variable. This variable is going to be a conditional variable, which is going to be boolean. So this will be the one we'll be testing on. If it is true or false, then some actions will take place. So what I'm going to do now, I'll click on this create variable again, and I'll say boolean, and I'll call this one is dark. So is dark, so I'll give it a true value. Is dark, I'll give it a true value. Then I'm going to create another one, the same boolean. I'll say is not dark. So, and it's going to be a false, it's going to have a false value. So these are the variables we want to create from the top. So we'll be testing this is dark and is not dark. We'll be testing them if they are true or false. So some actions should take place, and the action that is going to take place is some text is going to change, and also some colors are going to change. So we've created that variable. Now we'll go to our screen, the frame. I'm going to select the frame, and look at the colors we are having here. So from the color selection, we have white, we have black, and we have the other color. So those are the three colors that we have inside these screens. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this color to the one we have in our variables, in our local variables. So I'm going to click on this, and the color we are having our local variables are here. So we have this one, white color. I'm going to change the white color to white colors, and the black also I'm going to change it to black colors, and this third color I'm going to change it to primary colors. So the colors we are having now are based on what we have in our variable collections. So if I click on this now, the color we will have here is white color, which is the one we have in our local variable. So, and for this also, the colors will also be the same. Now we have text here that we'll need to change. So I'm going to select this text that we change. First of all, we are having color attached to it, color variable attached to it. If you can see, we have it here. So I'm going to attach another string variable to it. So I'm going to click on this apply variable here. It will list the variable for me, and I'll choose the default one, or I can choose the first one here, theme mode 1. I'll just select it. So this thing now has two variables attached to it. It has color and it has text variable attached to it. Now the next thing we're going to do is for it to take effect. For this effect to take place, we need to go into our prototype mode, the prototype mode, and click on what we want to use as button. So this is what we want to use as button. First of all, we want to add an interaction. So I'll click on this plus, and interaction is added. The interaction that is added is tap. So when I tap, what should happen? So I'll come to this place, and I'll choose condition. So this is going to be a conditional trigger. So this is going to take place based on the condition, if condition is met. So what I want to do is that if something happens, then an action should take place. I'll add action to it. So if something happens, action take place. If that thing does not happen, another action takes place here. So this is where a little bit of programming knowledge comes in. Now what I'll do is I'll click on this settings icon here. So it will list me the variables that I have in my local variables, in my files. So I will choose is dark. So what I mean by this, if is dark, when I click on this button, it will now check this condition. If is dark is one of our variables that we set to true. So we are telling if this thing is true, then take these actions. So the action is going to take is, I'll say set variable. Set variable. What variable are we going to set? So we're going to set our black to become our white, which is FF. Again, I would still click on this plus to add some other action. The action is going to set variable again. So our white color should change to our black. Again, I'll go to the front of if and add another action, which is going to set variable, and the variable we want it to set here. So these are primary color. We want it to change to black, because why we are changing it to black is because this thing is a color that is a light color. Is a light color, and if we put it on white background, it's not going to show at all. So we are changing it to black, or at worst we can change it to some other color which is not too black like that. So we are done with that, with the condition for the colors here. What remains here is condition for the text. So if is dark, then set black color to white, set white color to black, and set the other primary color to a kind of gray. So another thing we want to change is the text. So we are going to add another set variable here, and it's going to be set theme mode 1 to theme mode 2. Set theme mode 1 to theme mode 2. So theme mode 1's value is dark mode on. So when it's set to theme mode 2, it's going to be dark mode off. So we've added the variables like this. Then another thing we want to set is another variable. If it's dark, then you should also set another variable. The variable that is going to set this time around is if it's dark. So set if is dark to false. Since the default value is true, since the default value for it is true, it's going to set it to false. Now, why we are setting it to false is that for this else action to take place, it needs this dark to be set to false. That's why we are setting it to false here. Now, we'll now come to this else here. Else will be the opposite, and in our else here will be the opposite of what we have here from the beginning. So this is going to be set variable. So what we are going to do now here is we are setting our variable back to what they are. So the black color is still going to be black color. We'll add another thing, which is set variable also, so that our white color is still going to be white. So it's still going to be white like that. And also I'm going to add another one. Then this one is going to be another one, set variable primary call to the default color, which is this. Then we want it to set another thing again, which is set another variable. This variable this time around, let me shift this thing up. So it's setting another variable. So the variable is setting is theme mode 1 equals to theme mode 1. It's not going to change anything there. Another thing is that since it has set this to false, we'll have to change it back to true. So I'm going to click on this plus and say set variable, and I'll say is dark. The name, I can search the variable is dark equals to true. So that is that. So let me just explain what happens here. When we tap on this button we are putting condition on, or we tap on the button, so the button will now check the conditions that we have. The action will check the conditions. So if it's dark, it's going to change it to whatever we've changed it to here. So if it's not dark, then it's going to change it to what we have here. So to see what we've been doing since, so I'll select this, the frame, and I'll give it a starting flow just like this, and I'll preview it. So this is what we have. So if I tap on this screen, it changes and it says dark mode off. If I tap on it, so you can see how it's changing. You can see. So that is that. Before this local variable of a thing is added to Figma, you have to design two screens to implement these things. But with this local variable of a thing, the new update, so you can maneuver between colors without creating multiple screens. So thank you for your time and God bless you.